We're going to start with something simple, a crayon. Growing up, I used these all of the time. Much to my parents' dismay, when I would draw on the walls, I would often draw things relating to the world around me. Birds or butterflies that I'd see in the garden, my favourite animals that I'd just read about, maybe even a kangaroo. I was lucky enough to live near wildlife in the Damien Ranges. So my question to you is, growing up, did you ever use a crayon? Or maybe pens, pencils, paint? I bet that at least once you probably would have drawn your favorite animal too. Hopefully not on the walls like I did. So welcome to my TEDx talk. My name is Charlotte Reich, and I'm a science student here at RMIT, specialising in conservation biology. And I'm also a keen artist. What I'm here to talk to you today about is how to bridge two seemingly very different worlds: science and art, for the benefit of environmental conservation. Now, these two worlds couldn't be more different. Science provides knowledge, data, complex theories, whereas art, in contrast, involves expression, emotion, creativity. But the truth is that they belong together. Science provides knowledge, and art provides emotion. Now, together they can be very, very powerful. So, science, for instance, can convey many different concepts. But as scientists, we uncover critical truths about our world. These critical truths often remain hidden in academic journals, which are sometimes difficult to read. They can sometimes be dry, and they're accessible only to experts in the field or to other academics, not so much to the public. Take biodiversity loss, for instance. It's one thing to hear about it in the news. It's one thing to say that species extinction is happening at an alarming rate. It's an abstract concept tied to many figures, charts, studies. But it's another to actually feel and understand what that actually means. So, species extinction and the current extinction rate is actually the highest it's ever been in any other geographical period in history. The current extinction rate is 10 to 1,000 times the natural extinction rate. Can you imagine the next generation growing up without elephants, without rhinoceroses, without tigers? To put all of this into perspective, a report by WWF's Living Planet report in 2024 suggested that since 1970, in just 50 years, the average species population has declined by 73%. That's an estimate, but it's still a big number. So how do we translate these numbers into something that people can feel and people can understand? This is where art becomes vital. It makes the abstract tangible. It can humanize statistics and turn dry data into something that people can feel and relate to. Science, again, provides the knowledge, and art provides the emotion. Together they are very, very powerful. Can you imagine that you've just been shown a graph depicting the melting of Arctic ice? You might understand its significance intellectually or theoretically. But now picture you've just been shown an artist painting of a polar bear stranded on a shrinking iceberg. Which image is more likely to linger in your mind? Which image is more likely to encourage sympathy for the situation? Which image is more likely to spark change? This is the magic of blending art and science. With art, we can tell stories that science may not always be able to tell because it humanizes the data. Now, I did bring a small prop with me today. You probably saw me bring it up. So please bear with me while I put it on. It is courtesy of my late night artistic spills. All right. Can you all see my jacket? This jacket. It's covered in species, isn't it? You might be able to see the spotted tree frog over here from New South Wales, or perhaps the hawksbill turtle, which is critically endangered. Perhaps you might even be able to see the koala and the yellow box eucalypt, the giant panda, and the African lion. There's quite a few species on this jacket. And all of them are listed as vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered on the IUCN Red List of threatened species. Unfortunately, these species are not alone. There are many, many more which are in a bit of trouble. Over 1 million species face extinction today. That's a lot. Now, I made this jacket as a wearable and creative memento to depict the state of the Earth's biodiversity. It's an example of where you can blend science and art to be able to convey pretty damning statistics. It also makes my outfit look cool. So there's that. Now, ultimately, emotion drives action. When we feel connected to something, we are more likely to care deeply about it, and we're more likely to inspire change. So, has anyone in the audience, maybe you've seen your favorite movie, or you've heard your favorite song? I'm sure you're probably thinking of them right now. Has any one of those favorite movies or favorite songs made you feel something? Made you feel joy? Moved you? Maybe even moved you to tears? I mean, please raise your hand if you've ever cried to your favorite movie or song. Yep, I know I have too. So, this is just an example of how impactful art can be to us. It makes us feel. And so, that's why it can be such a powerful tool to convey pretty sensitive topics in science. Now, when people feel the urgency of saving species, protecting habitats, combating climate change, more importantly, when they understand the science behind doing so, people are more likely to have a motivation to make a difference. Conservation powerhouses such as Sir David Attenborough and Dr. Sylvia Earle are great examples of excellent communicators. Sir David Attenborough, through his very distinctive and informative documentaries, we've all probably seen them, he has informed millions about nature and different species, and has encouraged millions to appreciate nature and have a greater understanding of it. Dr. Sylvia Earle, though primarily a marine biologist and oceanographer, is an excellent communicator, and she has advocated for our Earth's oceans for decades. Through keynote speaking, her NGO Mission Blue, as an author, and also as a subnautical engineer and designer. These pioneers in conservation have created lasting impact through creative means. You can't have that impact without those creative and artistic expression. Now, these pioneers have possibly paved the way for even greater achievements in the future. I'd like to involve you. If I handed you a crayon, a pencil, a pen, maybe even a brush, what would you draw? What would you create? Perhaps you draw an endangered sea turtle swimming in an ocean tangled in plastic. Perhaps you draw a lush rainforest teeming with wildlife, thriving thanks to conservation efforts. Perhaps you draw a beetle in the garden, like my 5-year-old self loved to do. Perhaps you'd even draw something completely unrelated. That's a completely valid reason too. But please, just do not tell me that you can't draw, because stick figures count. They still count. And the point of this is that art is not just a form of expression, and it doesn't have to be perfect. But it's also not exclusive, and it's accessible to everybody. Art can convey topics across languages, across cultures. So why is it not used more in science? Now, conservation is a pretty important concept that we could all do with learning more about. But it's not just conservation either. It's things like space science, science for the sake of science. Art can be a powerful, powerful tool to convey these important topics. And I think it's fair to say that we could all do with drawing a bit more or being a bit more creative in the way we express ourselves. Now, where do we go from here? For scientists, I'd like you to think beyond your data. Consider how your findings might be communicated through art. For artists, use your medium to tell stories that matter, stories that inform and inspire. And for everybody else, pick up your metaphorical crayon. Engage with the natural world. Create something meaningful that matters to you, that moves you, maybe even moves others. We can use art and science together to create a future that is more brighter and more sustainable for our Earth. One where knowledge and emotion work hand in hand to convey important scientific topics that are accessible to everyone. Science tells us what we need to know. Art tells us why it matters. Now, I would like us all to get a little bit imaginative for a moment, please. For parents in the audience, I would like you to imagine your child, please. And for everyone else, imagine a child close to you. Perhaps they're a sibling or a cousin, a niece or nephew, a friend. Now imagine that child is sitting there with some paper, drawing their favorite animal. Hopefully on some paper, not on the walls. Now, you probably already know what their favorite animal is. Can you imagine them growing up without that animal? Without ever being able to see it? Without knowing what it looks like? There are some studies that suggest that by 2100, between a quarter and 1/2 of all biodiversity on Earth will become extinct. No lions, no tigers, no bears. Ramai. But through the power of possibility, when you combine art and science to create a powerful medium to convey sensitive topics, scientific topics to the world, then we can create a future that inspires us to cherish and protect our planet and the species in it for generations to come. Thank you.